Baby.
Hello. Good morning. I don't know. Are we live? Oh, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's live.
Someone confirm for me. I can't be bothered to pull the stream up. Plus, then we'll just get echoes going on. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Morning.
Okay. So, I don't know how much we're going to teach you about making more sales on eBay, but this whole topic was based off of something that happened to me the other week, which was I found out one of my charity shop managers is a avid eBay shopper, like an eBay addict. She's like on there every day. When I'm in the shop, she's browsing. Like she's just sitting there looking at random things on eBay and stuff like that. And it was really, really interesting to hear how she searched, because obviously I don't know if anyone's ever met an actual eBay buyer before, especially in the clothing category. Like you may have people that have bought from eBay or done whatever, like random bits here and there that they need to finish off the wardrobe. But the wardrobe or your car or your random stereo stack that you might want to fix. But it was really interesting to talk to her about how she went about and searched, because I never really knew. And obviously we kind of have an idea of how people search on eBay. I don't know about you, but you generally think people search in a certain way. But it was interesting to hear directly. So I went to ask her a load of questions about things and kind of how she first went about things. So when I was in there, the way it came about is I was walking through and I was browsing stuff. And I was like, oh, anything interesting happened this week, so on and so forth. And she's like, oh, yeah, I picked up these. And she walked around the desk and she's got some like wide leg Adidas trousers on, right? Like some joggers. And I was like, oh, where'd you pick them up? Because she was talking about the sales so much. She was talking about the New Year's sales. And she was like, oh, no, these were eBay. And I was like, oh, really? And I got to talking to her about house shopping. She was like, oh, yeah, I'm searching right now. And she pulls up her phone and she's literally looking at handbags. And then I basically went, okay, so how do you search on eBay, right? Like, what's the first thing you do? And the first thing she kind of went into was that she has her favorite brands. And obviously this is going to be pretty clothing heavy, but she has her favorite brands where she will just type in the brand and the size and just browse. Like there's nothing in particular she's looking for. This is what she does when she's like filling the void. She'll like be at home and just do this, like for the few favorite brands. She said she loves All Saints, she loves M&M, she loves other stuff, which are very opposite brands in my head. But she literally just searches through stuff and hopes for the best. But after that is where I thought it became quite interesting, because she said almost every single time she has something she wants. So the thing she said when she was out was a woman came into the shop, right? And they had a camo dry robe on. And she was like, I need that. So she went to eBay and she looked it up. And she bought it pretty much the same day. And she was really happy about the fact, I think she paid like £75 for it or something like that. For a dry robe. I'm sure there's dry robe. I hope there's no dry robe people. I know Chica's a dry robe person, and Kaylee now wants a dry robe because of Chica. But apart from that, shocking things. And yeah, I thought it was really interesting because she basically buys a load on impulse. Like she sees something and then she wants it and she gets it. And I guess this works with like, influencers and celebrities and stuff like that more. But that's how she was just shopping as a normal person. And the thing after that was she was just searching for like keywords, right? So when she showed me her little her search that time, she was searching for a slouchy handbag, right? Like it's interesting. And I've never obviously we put the keywords in. We were like, oh, we hope someone kind of picks up on these at some point in time. But the fact that it's probably half of what the main people search for, I imagine, like past the brand and like what you like, and people that are looking for very specific things, people are probably generally looking for style and generally looking for a fit, or generally looking for something that they want that suits them, right? You know what I'm getting at?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, in your head, how does an eBay buyer search?
So I was talking to you about this the other day, but when I'm comping, I search a little bit differently. But in my head, if you're searching for something, like if I was to search for something specific, I'm typing in what it is. So whether it's like a rab jacket, but I'm searching rab jacket, men's, and then size. That's kind of, if I'm searching for myself, that's how I would do it. And then if you're looking for something more specific, I think you do just put the, like, I would just type in, I don't know, me and M wide leg trousers. That makes, in my head, that makes the most sense if I was to search like personally. But when I'm searching to comp, I always put men's or women's in first, and then the brand.
Yeah,
and
but you're crazy for that. I have no. That was when you told me that was some psychopathy. The fact that you put the gender first is crazy.
Why not? Why would you not put the gender in first? Because that eliminates the other gender straight away, right?
Because you just don't. You put the item in first, and then you specify the gender. Like it's, I'm not having it. No one, because you search for the thing first, and then you like narrow it down. So when I search stuff, like generally, even for comps, I throw in the thing, and then if the thing I want doesn't come up, I'll start throwing keywords after. And I imagine search kind of worked. I don't trust anything Andrew says. Firstly, I don't trust this thing Andrew said.
I'm putting it right here.
But after, and I think that works is how you narrow down what you're looking for as well. So you can throw something out there, and then how are you going to get to what you want? You browse and go, okay, this isn't quite what you're after, and then you go, oh, I want it oversized, or then you want it a pattern, or then you want it a color, and you could use the item specifics, but for the most part, you can just throw them in at the end, and you'll get closer to what you want. But I would have, in my head, most people are always looking for the actual item, but they're not. I don't think. I think that's wrong.
Do you not? So when you say if you were to read out what you wanted, if you're in a charity shop, right, and you see an item, and it's let's just say, right, it's a rab jacket, it's down-filled, it's size 14, it's black, and it's a women's, right? Ignore how you search it on eBay. How would you say that in an actual title structure, like as a structure
out loud? Like you mean out loud?
You say that out loud, and you go rab jacket, rab jacket,
flow in a sentence.
14 black. That if you started saying that in the shop, people would think you were mental.
If you just started describing things backwards in the shop, it wouldn't make sense because it's like a black rab jacket. It's like a rab jacket black. Like I get what you're saying, but then you should put everything in front of it because you're like describing the thing.
That's my point. Like, it's such a weird concept that we structure these titles in such like random. If you look at a title structure and actually just read it out, it doesn't make any sense. Like
I try to make it make sense. Like I actually like when the title structure like flows. I don't know if that makes sense. Like you can view the title structure as you should put the main bit in and you just throw words in. But I like the words that I add at the end to like make an order of sense.
I try to do that. I'm not very good at it. I try to.
Like for example, like wool knit sweater. I want it in that order. I would never put sweater knit wool. Like I always want it to be readable in some fashion. But I get what you're saying.
So when I do the last bit, like obviously you come to like size and then color. I always like put black, wool, cable, knit. And then I try to order the keywords in a way that somewhat flows in an actual sentence.
I'm genuinely first time actually asking the chat question. How do we think buyers search? Like, and how are you searching? Obviously, we've had two people say they put gender first, but it's money, mental, and gay. I want some other opinions.
Also, I have pocketed or pockets as like a keyword on like 80% because sometimes like we just run out of things to say about items, and then I just put pockets in it or something. I quite like the idea of pockets if it's like a dress or like
I don't know why Jack said that.
Go on.
This is because ages ago in the group, all my titles had pocketed in.
Yeah.
Or like dresses, some jackets, some also other stuff like that. Because I just throw it in there as an extra keyword, and I thought people would be looking for the word pocketed, right? Like people want something that has pockets, especially dresses. Like people really want things like dresses that have pockets and like a big deal for them. And I got absolutely roasted for having the word pocketed in there. And not a single person was having it.
But you know what the funny thing is? I had somebody on Vinted. I had a dress, And normally, if I've got a dress that's got pockets, right, I'll put my hand in the pocket and take a picture like a little bit further back so it shows that it's got pockets, right, if I haven't written it anywhere. And I've had people, when I've not done that, message me and say, hi, does this dress have pockets? So there is an element to it on certain things, I think, but I think it has to be very specific and it can't be.
The problem was not that I was describing the pockets were there. It was the fact that I was using the word pocketed. And everyone was like, use pockets.
Yeah, if you're going to use it, it's got to be pockets. It can't be pocketed. That sounds really weird.
It's just that everyone was. I was not happy with it, and I tried to research it, and it turned out that pocketed gets basically auto-corrected to pockets anyway, so it worked out the same.
How do you feel about gorgeous or lovely being in the title?
Kill myself.
I was super interested in this one actually. Kaylee put the gender is a total waste of time unless brand sells men's or women's. But if you're trying to fill, sorry, I'll put it at the same time. If you're trying to fill the title out and you don't necessarily have the keywords available that you can think of, I do think putting men's and women's in there is a good way of just filling the title up. I was reading an article where somebody said that, or at least it was online, as true as it is, that titles with 60 or more characters are 1.5 times more likely to sell. So I think it's just because they want it to be as close to 80 as possible. They want you to use all the characters, and I guess because you're putting more keyword, I think if you just filled it with like A's, it's not going to sell because there's 60, right? But I think because you're using more words, more keywords, and you're describing it better, I think just in general over 60 is going to make it.
I think that's just like a circumstantial thing. I don't think they're pushing you because you've got more characters. I reckon the people that are putting more characters have better words.
Yeah, I think that is. But I for me, I like putting men's and women's in if I can fill it in a little bit more. If I'm struggling with some keywords, it's either pocketed or it's women's. Like, which one do you want? Because they're the two that I'm going with.
So my problem is, I do think men's and women's is a waste of time. Technically, like I don't think many people, especially in most brands, are generally men's or women's specific. Like in terms of the majority of people that are searching them, and obviously the ones that do both are like you have to differentiate, but it means nothing. Like if me and M dress, you don't need to put men's in it. You don't need to put women's in there. There's never going to be a man searching for a me and M dress. Same with Toast. Same with like
Toast do men's though. Toast do men's.
Yeah, I think you mostly would only have to put men's if it was a men's item. I think you could, for the most part, avoid putting women's. I do it. I put men's and women's in everything because
yeah.
But that's because I think I messed up a while ago, and I forgot to put which one it was, and I ended up listing it in the wrong category. And obviously, when you put men's and women's in the title, if you click on the category, it will auto suggest the category that you've got in the title. And that since then, I've always put it in just as like a ground rule to never mess it up. So that's my reason for it. I think it's pointless though, like unless again it's necessary for the brand. Yeah. The other thing, the thing that Crystal said here is interesting, right? Is at Christmas she was looking for a party shirt and didn't care about brand and just wanted a nice shirt. So this to me, and the same with talking to the woman in the shop, it shows how necessary the keywords are, right? Like you're not like the people that are, and I asked her about, if you're going to search for a blazer, what would you search for? She said, firstly, it would be oversized. She was like, that's it. Firstly, I'm looking oversized. I want an oversized blazer. And then she was like, I'd go to the searches and I'd look through the searches and I'd just look for one that I like. And I was like, if you find one you like and it's like a certain brand, you go in depth on that or whatever. She's like, sometimes depends like what it is really. But she's like, I will just look through that. And I was like, how do you feel about price? And she's like, I'm not too bothered. Like, I will pay for it. And she's like, I'm like, do you go and compare to like other things that are listed? She's like, yeah, I don't get me wrong. I don't want to get like a bad deal. Like I don't want to get scammed or being paid way over. So I go and get an idea of what other things are going for, and then I buy. Which I thought was really, really interesting because that means like the price matters to a point, but as long as you're around market generally, and obviously this is one woman, this is the smallest sample size you could possibly be, but you don't find these people often. She wasn't bothered about the price on it. Like she's like, as long as it feels fair, I'm okay.
Also, that's dependable as well on how much competition that item's got. So if she's just searching oversized blazer jacket and she's looking at Reese, there might be 17 Reese jackets, but there might only be one like me and M1. And if the me and M1's the one she wants, then the price is irrelevant if she wants that one. So I guess a lot of it just depends on like market availability as well, right?
Yeah. So that I think that's where Hanley said it a second ago. Clothes should have carp. Should have
a lot of them do, right? You've got like seasons and grabs. They've got like maybe not part numbers, but they've got names, etc., that you can search up a lot of stuff on. So I think a lot of brands have started doing that now more recently.
But I'm thinking in terms of like listing. I think she means, right? We have to think about all these things. Like we have to think about
an oversized pipe with extra rings on some sort of.
It's not happening. This doesn't happen in any other niche. Like he doesn't care about your stereo that's got like extra shiny buttons on it. No one cares. But here you have to think. People are searching this way, so you have to account for it really, really hard. Be it oversized, slouchy, knits, chunky knit, whatever. You have to know what people are actually searching for, and that's like the difficult part of things. So you brought it up earlier, which was that we're not going to share it because secret privilege. But basically, I got given a list at some point of the top keyword searches for men's and women's categories, and a lot of it was brands. But then you'd see, and this was summer, so it was a bit different then. And if someone could get it now, it'd look a lot different now. But what was dress on the list? It was like
dress was number 2, and then just in terms of actual things, not brands specifically, in the top 25. There's only actually 2 words that are like quote unquote keywords that aren't actually a brand, which is dress and bra in women's. Which is interesting. And then I think in men's there was t-shirt, shorts, men's shorts, polo shirt, men's t-shirts, and engineered garments.
That's a brand.
Oh, is that an actual brand? Okay, then
yeah, mate, you got to know your polo.
The level of my knowledge there, it's not particularly great, obviously, but yeah. So it's quite interesting that bras were in the thing with dress. So other than that, it's just brands that are searched, like the top ones.
And that doesn't even account for the words that don't have a high enough search volume but do get searched a lot, right? So like oversized might get searched a load, but it's not going to beat out brands for the most part. Like it's not like the top brands are going to get way more traffic to them than the word oversized is. And again, the fact that you have to account for that so hard is like that in my head is probably how you're going to make more sales every single day on eBay. Like if you actually want to go off the title of the podcast, you need to learn keywords. And in this category, Hanley can put a part number. People are going to come find it, even though they get it wrong all the time. But in this, like outside, if you really want to improve your chance of making a sale and not just have, whistles, dress or whatever, or men's jumper, I think it's a bit easier in men's. Because I think
it's super easy because realistically, all we're really looking for is like potentially oversized jumpers, maybe some wide leg trousers if you're into that, skater like type jeans and stuff like that. There's not a huge amount of like keywords, I don't think, for men's.
I think men's will also be a lot more structural a lot of the time, like V-neck jumper or like merino V-neck or something like that. Like I can imagine that's what, but I feel like women go much more stylistic, and that's a pain in the ass to know.
Yeah. Do you think Kaylee's mentioned there, like if you've got something from COS that's like current season, I think we have spoken about this in the call, right? Like there was somebody that put current season on one of their titles, and they were smashing it because they had like a bunch of current season stuff, and they were just putting current season in their thing. So obviously, like if you've got a Bowden dress with the newest label, current season, this and this, like do you think that makes much of a difference in what people, because people have got to like titles are all about what people are searching. So are people gonna search Bowden dress current season? I guess they probably are if they see one on the web. Like, so I sold one recently, which was like a multicolored glittery type Bowden dress. And that's on the website right now at £128, brand spanking new, but on sale. And then I sold it for 75. It ended up selling on Vinted or whatever. But that was a current season. So if I'd have put current season on eBay, it would have matched up with the fact that it was on the website on Bowden. Sorry, like, do people actually search it, and is it worth doing? That's an interesting one.
So I had a period where I went into like a whole depth in my head of like marketing the item versus keyword search, right? Like, okay, how many keywords are actually searched versus what's the chances me adding a word to this title that makes the buyer, when reading the title, it makes the item appealing to them, right? And this is where like RRP in the title can come in and other stuff like that. And I think that's very interesting. And like, for example, I talked to Michelle, which not Michelle from England, but the US Michelle, and she was talking about items that we talked about, items that kind of make you feel, keywords that make you feel a certain way, like soft or comfy or that sort of thing that basically incites a feeling of what wearing that item would be like, right? And I went into this, I was like, oh, marketing is so worth it because like people don't search these keywords so much, and then they're going to see the word in the title and then they're going to want to buy it, but they don't, because it turns out that most people search on mobile, right? And it's like they only see the first 5 words of the title or something like that, which is for the most part the
keywords. It's usually
that's the main chunk of whatever it is, and that means that anything you add after that isn't seen. I think it's like 80% mobile for the clothing category. I can't remember. So anything you put after that is not going to be seen, and so that's why the back end keywords are important, because they're going to be picked up in the search, but they're not going to be seen.
They're not going to be seen. I also learned the other day, by the way, that mobile reduces your description by a certain percentage as well. So if you put like a monster description in with like loads of, some people have those little web, like UTRLs or whatever in their description stuff. Apparently on mobile, it removes like 90% of those as well. So like even in your description, my description is literally 3 lines. It's the condition, there's measurements in the pictures, not that anyone pays attention, and to see the pictures for a better quality understanding of condition and stuff like that. But mobile is where a lot of people are going, but it still feels like eBay's mobile isn't maximized. Like, I can't remember what the word is, but optimized. It still doesn't feel like it's optimized as well as it probably should be. And then there needs to, but I also spoke to the eBay rep, and the reason why they're pushing mobile so much is because they know that if they were to optimize eBay's actual site, they would have to rebuild the entire site, and then that is $1 billion like project. So what they're doing is they're putting all these things into the actual site that help with the app, and then they're pushing the app more than they're pushing the actual website itself, which is quite interesting. But I think that's where we're all going anyway, right? Apps over everything, like everybody.
Yeah, all the traffic's there, right? Like, why would you're not going to be as bothered? And as younger generations come up, then.
Can we just quickly touch on this one here, which is how can I find the right keywords for non-branded, low-branded clothing? So I've got this book. I'm not sponsored, obviously, but it's called Fashionpedia.
I love that you had it handy. I love you had it on hand.
And it's an incredible book. And basically, if you have like certain things, it covers everything from dresses, skirts, jackets, shirts, everything you could possibly need. There's different threads, materials, like it gives you all of the names, all the descriptions, and all of the keywords that you could possibly ever want. It dates a lot of stuff in terms of style. So if you haven't already, it's about 25 quid on Amazon, but it is 100% worth it. This book has saved me in some of the like keywords and stuff like that. Just trying to, I don't use it enough, but if you've got time and you want to really push out, it definitely is going to help on something I think that is non-branded, because as we know, eBay likes brands over a lot of things. So this would definitely help, I think. So definitely.
The only thing I'd say with that is you have to, like, you can have a keyword that's completely useless, right? Like, although it gives you keywords, it may not be something people search, which is the thing. You're trying to get. Yeah,
someone asked about the author. If you just go onto Amazon, you can, or eBay even, you can go to Fashionpedia and it comes up.
But yeah, you can have keywords that aren't searched at all. Like like realistically, you could add the shape of the dress and stuff like that, and all these technical words for it. But a lot of the time, they might not help.
I think brand is the most important. Like if you've got a Rab jacket and you've got a Peter Storm jacket, keywords aren't helping you in that scenario. Do you know what I mean? Like the Rab's winning every day of the week. You could have the
I
best
don't know, because I think one of the highest search things was like waterproof. I think I got a breakdown of the jacket category at some point. I think in one of the highest things was waterproof.
Really?
So that's what people are just searching, waterproof jacket.
So if you've got a Gore-Tex item, would you, obviously you're going to put Gore-Tex in the title because people search it specifically.
Yeah,
but at the end as a keyword, would you chuck waterproof in there?
Yeah, definitely.
Really? Okay, that's interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, this also means like what else is important in a listing, right? Because the other thing I asked her about is item specifics, and I was like, oh, do you go to the left-hand navigation and like search for things and kind of like filter it down? She was like, no. She's like, she said what she does is she put it on use straight away. She doesn't look at new. She doesn't unclick anything. I was like, do you care about postage? She was like, no. She was like, I don't really care when it comes. Like, and I was like, do you care about speed of like, delivery? And she's like, not really. Like, as long as I buy the thing at a decent price, then it comes eventually. She's happy. But the thing that she did say is she puts used, because she was like, if I wanted new, I'd buy new. Like I'd be searching new. I'm in a different mind frame when I'm searching for new stuff. And I don't come to eBay to search for new stuff unless, you know, like very specifically found something that you might want to get cheaper. But she's like, I'm here for used clothing. So she straight away filters that out of the way. And then apart from that, I was like, do you use like the size or the color? She's like, yeah, sometimes I use size. And then, but apart from that, normally I'll type it in the title or the search, and then we go from there, which is, again, like we spend a lot of time on keywords, on item specifics, and people don't use them. Like some people just don't use them whatsoever.
I would think that like color is one of the most important things as well, right? Like it has to be, because people don't like, if you're searching a jacket and you want a black one, you're not just not putting a color in. You kind of have to put the color in, because otherwise you're just going to get shown a bunch of yellow and red ones that you don't want. So I think color's got to be somewhere in there as well. Like
I think filtering. I think probably size and color realistically, but those are like normally in the required section, aren't they? Like
would you? So if you typed in the title red, into the title, does more than red item come up? So like if you just type without putting like in item specifics and clicking on the little left hand navigation, if you search red, a black item's coming up as well.
Well, do you want to check?
Yeah, I'd be super interested. Navy, navy or blue. It's always navy. If it's a women, it's 100% navy. I always put navy anyway.
Okay. I've always put navy now. Since the conversation, I've been navy in the
title navy, item specifics blue. Like that's the way to do it, because then you're specifically adding all of the things in.
Is it sharing? Are we working?
Yeah, we're sharing.
Okay, so you're asking me if I put, what do you want? Jackets?
Just put grab jacket red. And then let's just see if anything other than red comes up, because I feel like the left hand, I've never used the left hand navigation. So fourth jacket along black.
Yeah. Also just waiting to get rid of this stuff.
Yeah. So I'm super intrigued to see whether anything else actually forces it 12 like way through.
I mean, for the most part.
No, I was going to say it's actually not bad. Although that one on the left looks slightly orange, but and there's some burgundy in there as well, and some purple, and a black one.
Do you know what's interesting? Just wash. Do you know what's interesting? I'd be interested to see if this has like
red is the item specific. He could have sold similar and not changed the color in the item specifics.
Yeah, look, he's got main color as red in the specifics.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So he's
just him. But apart from that, basically everything.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So having the color.
It's not even necessary, and it will pick up from item specifics. It will pick up from the title. Obviously, the closer you can get to the actual search someone's doing, if so they're putting red in the title and you put red in your title, you're going to get their placement. But generally, I think item specifics are probably over prioritized, and like people worry about filling them all in when it really isn't that important, I'd say. Vinted kind of shows that, because people will just buy what they see to be nice for the most part. So I think a lot of people are browsing rather than buying specifically. Although on eBay, I think they do look for more certain stuff, because she said, I normally have an idea of what I'm looking for before I search.
Does she not use Vinted at all then? Because it seems like she shops in a way that would be perfect for Vinted because you can put your size and your brand in, and then you can search visually. You can just go straight through what you're looking at.
Yeah,
but
I think
it's quite strange that she's picked eBay as a.
if you would describe her, she sounds like a Vinted buyer for the most part.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
but I think they're the same people. Like realistically, I think they're all online shoppers, and they're all people that were interested in like shopping online and browsing and buying things that they like. I think Vinted is now a better place for them. Like I think Hanley said, this is why I buy on Vinted because it tells me what I want, which is massive. And she said if I was on Vinted, it would be a real problem. Is what she actually said. She was like, I was like, do you never use Vinted? She was like, she said I love eBay, and then she was like, if I got on Vinted, I think I'd have a real issue on my hands for the most part. Which is
eBay tried to do that as well. So there was a time, a couple of maybe like 6 to 8 months ago, where they were trying to push this, where you would put your gender and your size in, and you could put your size in for clothing and trainers, and then the recommended section. So they ultimately tried to do a very, very similar thing. But I actually filled in all my details, and I went to it, and it was not particularly great at all. And also another one from eBay is like, I put my, when you put your vehicle in, I put my vehicle in, nothing that you search in there shows me anything for my vehicle. So I don't trust them in their way that they do anything with those sorts of searches.
Okay, it's going to be interesting. How do people rank each aspect of listing?
Oh, yeah.
So, in terms of like title, photos, price, I don't know what else you want to put, specifics. What else is in it? What else is important in listing? Not free postage.
Title, picture, description. Like, do they think the description's important?
Yeah. Okay. Literally just do each section. So you got photos, title, item specifics, description, and then price and postage. Put them in order. Give me a ranked order in the chat for how you value it, because this is interesting. Photos, title, description. And also, I'm assuming, for example, with Hanley, I imagine it's very different. And Andrew, what's this for? Is that for everything, or for for example, with books and VHS, is it very different for you? Because surely the photo doesn't matter as much when someone's looking for something specific.
I would imagine if you've got something super niche or specific, I don't think the photos really matter at all. I think it's just pricing and maybe the title just to catch them initially, and then it would just be pricing after that, right?
Yeah,
I think.
I can't imagine it'd be that with you. Photos, title, price, postage, description. Photos, title, price. Interesting. Okay. And was it? And you said photos, price, title, price, photos. I do. Car parts, number one is title,
price, item specifics, photos. Yeah, your item specifics must be crazy important just because of what you can put in there. So that is relevant to your item specifics. Are also ultimately basically your title, right? Because when people are searching for an item in car parts specifically, if they know the part numbers and stuff like that, it's very, very needed.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like you break it down into model, type of part, everything like that. It must be really, really important. Okay, so what we got?
What's also interesting, by the way, is that Katie's put photos first, but obviously she's more like she does Vinted heavily. So photos are the most important on that side, which is I think is definitely true as well from like a Vinted.
Crystal said the same.
Yeah, and Crystal's obviously very Vinted orientated as well. So I think that's probably why those two people have naturally gone to photos first.
But no, I think you're wrong.
Okay.
I think even on eBay, I think photos are incredibly important. Like, okay, obviously, I'd say title is most important because if you haven't got a title that's gonna pop up at all, then you're fucked. You're not. No one's seeing anything from you. You're never getting any views. No one cares. So in my head, title makes the most sense. And has anyone put title? So Retro Reselling put title first. Did Andrew put title first? No, he put photos. But mate, no one's finding your stuff without a good title. So
I think title is ultimately, as on eBay specifically, the title is the most important thing, and then after that it would be photos and then price. Price, photos, price. I think they're very, very. I think they're very interchangeable. Depending on
very wrong. I think you're very wrong. I think if you actually took a bad set of photos, right? Like if you had a bad set of photos that like genuinely were unappealing to look at, that you would either be skipped over or like ignored, or people wouldn't going to go there. And if people can't get an idea of what the item is actually like, then people are going to move past it. For example, I'm going to go back to this Rab search and just have a look.
I wanted to quickly just say that I've got a friend that I know at the car boot, and he does it essentially full time, but alongside a full time job essentially. And he does like pictures on the floor next to a skirting board in basically the dark, and he earns as much as I do, maybe a little bit less. Like from so he's selling like toys and like collectibles. So, but you're saying the title's important because he's got to get but the photos aren't important in that, because there's a specific. I think clothing is very similar in the sense that if you've got a Rab jacket and there's 700 Rab jackets, photos are important. But if you've got one Rick Owens jacket that is like completely different to everything else and it's the only one on there, the photos are less important because they've only got one option.
Okay. I'll change my answer. I think there's a minimum threshold your photos need to hit. Yes,
I do agree. Yeah, for sure.
Because otherwise, like you've seen some of the vintage photos, right? Like you look at some stuff, and you don't even know what you're looking at. Like you don't know what condition it's in. You don't know what you're looking at. It's like impossible. Everything's blurry. Not just a little bit blurry that you like can make something out. It's like you can't see a single thing. But I'm interested just to go back here quickly.
Yep.
And what kind of stands out to you? For example, like just looking at the top few here, right?
My favorite picture is the one with the floor in the background. It's very. I think that's the one. Yeah, for whatever reason, my eyes are drawn to that one first out of everything there.
See, I think that's because it's overexposed because it looks
essentially, and also like it's not a square photo. I had a conversation with a couple of people about square photos the other day, and apparently it's completely irrelevant, even though I do it all the time.
But like to me, this is not as standout as even that, or like specifically as clear as like these three, especially
that one there that you're hovering over, the third one from the right. That one's an incredible picture. That's really nice.
I like this one as well because it's very clear, although it's not the same brightness as that. So
it's probably got more coloring issue there.
But in terms of like what stands out, and also how do you feel about like these photos? These are really interesting.
I think they're the worst photos. They give no concept. Like especially from like if you're scrolling or browsing, that photo is
okay. That's the same jacket. Sorry, this jacket and this jacket are basically the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that photo is better than that one?
I think that photo is better, but the background on the other one is making it stand out more to me.
Background is interesting because I think it can really make a item pop out.
Yeah, and that might only be by that color.
That's quite interesting.
You put a gray background in, or even if you put like a gray item on a gray background, right? Like I have a lot of gray items sometimes, and I put them against my gray background, and they just don't look as good as something that's bright yellow or red, like factually. So I think photos are important. I just think that some items you can get away with having poor.
Yeah.
Vintage sells so many. Like I've seen people buy stuff that have got like toes in the like pictures or whatever. I think it's just more acceptable, even though Kaylee and Crystal are both saying that photos are more important on Vinted. I think pricing is just as important on Vinted because people just want shit cheap. Like if there's toes in a picture, that's not putting me off buying the item if the item's £8 and it's worth like 40 on eBay. Like I'm just buying the item for £8 regardless of whether there's feet in the picture, right? So I think pictures are important, but I also think price is important.
Yeah, that is interesting because price is outweighing. Like if it's a good price, it will outweigh a bad photo.
100%.
A good photo won't outweigh an overpriced item. Like you'll get a bit more value for it, but like if you price something cheap, like it's gonna go fly out. Versus if the photo is really really good, it's not gonna make it fly out, but you might get a little bit more from it. So that therefore depends like how you price it realistically. But then there's this is another thing that I've gone into massively is like is price a determination of value, right? Like so we're talking about the marketing perspective earlier and kind of how the words in the title can be make you want to buy the item. But I think price wise, if you price something cheap a lot of the time, people are like put off. If it's too cheap under market, people often assume there's something wrong with it.
Fake
or
or like some damage that hasn't been
you're
described
like,
properly.
why is this person listing it for this? And even when I look, for example, I don't know if you ever look at solds and then you look at actives, right? And you see that the solds are higher, the solds have sold a higher price than the actives. And you look at the actives. My first assumption when I see the cheaper actives that are still listed, there must be something wrong with them.
Yeah.
Like they must. Why haven't they sold? There must be a flaw. The reason they've got it listed cheap is because there's a flaw and people don't want the flaw. Like that. That's where my head goes. That's why I think prices. It's hard because I think the other thing is I think what Crystal just said. I think price is important if the item is saturated. For example, Hanley, other sections, or again electronics and stuff like that. I think the price is going to be way more important because those parts are all the same. Like if the person is looking for a part number or they're looking for a specific like stereo stack, obviously the condition will be important with the stereo stack, especially if you're selling new stuff.
Yeah,
condition should all be the same. But if you're looking for an amplifier, then as long as it's in semi-working condition, the main use of it is the functionality, not the look of it, right? So I think people are way more likely to appreciate the price being cheaper and go for a cheaper option because it still gets the same functionality regardless of if it's got a scratch on top. Like no one really cares. They're probably not even going to see it because they're going to put it on a shelf somewhere and they're never going to see the top of it.
What I think is actually super interesting as well is the two people that sell a lot on Vinted also buy a lot on Vinted, and they're talking about photos being the most important thing. But I would imagine that 90% of the items that they're buying for a cheaper price to sell on are probably stuff that's got a bad picture but has a really good price. Mm-hmm. And I know that they're going to sell that item on, but that picture hasn't put them off buying the item cheap to then bring in and then sell for more with just a better quality picture. And that might be the difference between the price, but the picture doesn't put you off buying the item for the good price.
I
know it's slightly different because you're not keeping the item, but theoretically the price is the most important thing on Vinted in that scenario because you're buying it at the best price you want. So the pictures are actually irrelevant in that scenario.
Yes, I'm saying like the price can outsell the pictures. Like
100%. Yeah, especially on Vinted.
The pictures cannot outsell the price. Like that. But I think so. In this situation, again, we talked about earlier about like this also works for collectibles and stuff like that. If you have something rare and someone is going to come for it and look for it, and there's a few items available, then realistically the price is not as important. You can push up a bit, and if for example, if you've got a dress in that only size 16, then you can get away with pricing it more if there's nothing else available. Because people need that item and that's what they want and that's what they've searched for. They're looking for a size 16 dress. Yours has popped up. It's a fairish price. You can push it a little bit, and then as long as you're not taking the piss, like there's obviously a limit. Like you can't go and list something for higher than it's worth in terms of like if you had a Primark dress, you're not going to go on and list it for 600 quid. Like it doesn't make any sense. But within reason, I don't think it matters that much.
Andrew's interested in there. What do you think about sellers who include pictures of the actual, don't actually picture the actual item, e.g. Music Magpie and World of Books that they sell? So basically they're just doing stock photos, right? And then they're just putting the item condition in the condition section and the description.
So it depends what it is, right? Like I think like Jack just said, they're all media sellers. And again, when it comes to like, for example, your VHSs, Andrew, whatever, as long as the item works and the buyer knows what condition it is, they don't need it to look amazing. Like, I don't need like if it's a CD or a DVD, like if the DVD works and it has a few scratches but it doesn't have any problems, I don't think it matters in the same way that, oh, look, this is where the mark is on this item, or this is where the pull is because the position of that pull or where that mark is on the T-shirt is going to affect how it looks when it's on, so on and so forth. But with stuff like that, I think you can get away with it. You see it from jean sellers, actually, don't you? Like if you look at massive Levi's sellers, they just have stock images and then they'll have like ranked stuff because people don't care as much about the condition of jeans as they do like other things because jeans are kind of a bit hardier and stuff like that. But
do you think like brand new tags items, you know, obviously it's quote unquote not allowed on eBay, but if you've got a brand new item and you've got stock photos, it's not technically a picture of the actual item. How do you feel about that in this scenario? Because I think in that scenario, right, if it's new and there's no flaws, like you can get away with it. But I think someone just mentioned it there. I think if you are doing that, you're playing a very risky game in terms of returns or like INADs or whatever, because the buyer might just say, oh, this wasn't pictured, because nothing was. It was a stock image, right? So it gets a bit more technical.
So if you haven't, okay, so I did this the other day for like the first time ever, was use a stock photo on a brand new tagged item, because mainly because the stock photo gave a way better impression of what it was than the image I took. So mine looked very flat and boring, but it was one of those ones that had long drapey bits, it had flowy sections and stuff like that. It was like a proper evening dress, right? And I could not give a good impression of it. But what I did is I used a stock photo and then I have my own photos.
Yeah, that's how I do it.
I would never just sell off stock photos. I think you're in some crazy territory, especially if yours might have some slight flaw or something like that. But you could. I know it's not right. Like, it's technically you're not allowed to unless you get permission to use the stock photos. But it is what it is. Like, there's plenty of people that do this. Like, there are some massive sellers or people that, and often it can get you higher prices. People that use stock photos because it gives the impression of that. Who said it earlier? Clips. He said, "Do you think good photos could represent a trustworthy seller?"
I do, actually. I agree with that.
Factually, yes.
Yeah.
I agree. That, by the way, again, we didn't. We'll come back to it in a sec. So, do you think good photos can represent a trustworthy seller? Yes, I also think they represent value. Like, this is why I think good photos are important, not only just to attract attention, but they represent a higher value or condition or like service. They represent a higher level of service in terms of like having a very good quality photo than other things. Like, you can extract more value from having good photos. And
go on, sorry.
And the people that use stock photos, they're like the highest. People view them as very high because stock photos are like professional. They're like professionally done, so on and so forth. And people don't on eBay, I doubt, think, oh, this person's just stolen this from somewhere. But you get the impression that these things are like professionally done, but they're not. But that's the impression they give off straight away, and therefore is why they can often command more value, and people like them more.
Yeah, I was just going to say the perfect example for me on that one was Jack and seeing his suit pictures and the way that he lays out his suit pictures compared to like 90% of his competition. He might not even try and extract more value, but his picture, if he prices, so when you're hanging a suit, everyone knows you've got your jacket, your trousers. It's a long thing. I hate doing it. Not a big fan of doing suits, right? But the way that Jack displays his pictures, he might price it at the top end of the value and match somebody else's. But those pictures are what is going to, like, the way that it's represented, because he's got like a mannequin for the blazer and stuff. Like, the way it's represented in there just shows quality, time, effort, and just it just has that little bit more value. So I think in certain things it definitely makes a massive like difference. And although you might not extract more value, I think yours will be the one that sells quicker just because you've put a lot more effort and a lot more quality into your pictures.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And you see with those people as well, there's a male and female version that both have like full backgrounds and setups and like style their whole scenario.
Yeah.
And I think I was having a conversation with Kaylee about it before. It's like, do you think it's like a market? Again, it's like a marketing thing. It's all like a marketing thing. Like there's two sides to it. It's like it's selling the item and it appearing and that all working, and then marketing the item past that will give you the value, because that's how marketing works in the first place. The reason Prada and Gucci and shit like that can afford to make their items that price is not because they're so much better quality than everything else or they're so much better value. They just market it themselves that way, and that's what people want, and that's how they get the money out of you. It's crazy. But going back to what we were actually saying, so we obviously got people to rank the orders of stuff.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna go back to see where is it? Where did it even go? But we have to go back to see where the other things came, because obviously everyone went, here we go. So in terms of top three, right? We got photos, title, price, and then we got title, price, photos, and then we got photos, title, price, and then we got photos, price, title. Like at those three, like clearly when it's set for Hanley, where she says item specifics is her number three.
Yeah,
it's search, and then it's the price and being the cheapest on the market, and then it's item specifics. But as for the rest, no one cares. Like,
I think, yeah.
And then we got specifics postage description as the last part. And then we got postage description as the last part. And then some other people just only give top three.
I think postage is definitely more important than description. But however, I offer free postage, and there's a big argument of whether to offer free postage or not. But I actually just don't think anyone cares, because on eBay says to you, "Oh yeah, our buyers really want free postage." Yet on Vinted, if you're buying something for £9, it ends up being 14.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still so many buyers on Vinted. So do they actually care? The answer is no. Like, realistically, I think eBay is the one where you'll get like the bigger sales and the more value on a more consistent basis. But on Vinted, I think people don't care about paying for this postage, and they'll pay up more than they would do on eBay just because they're searching on Vinted, if you know what I mean. Because I have my items priced the same. So if I obviously list and source to sell on eBay, and then I cross list to Vinted, and sometimes I'll sell stuff on Vinted for the same price as listed on eBay, but I've got free postage and I'm going to get fees on it. So if it's $39.99, I'm getting all that $39.99, but they're paying $45. Whereas on eBay, I'm giving away the free paying postage, and then I'm getting a hit on fees. So theoretically, I don't think it actually matters.
It matches with what the woman says, right? She's like, I don't care. Like, I don't filter by postage. I don't care. I'm just interested in the item, and then interested in if I'm getting a reasonable deal, and then I'm buying. Like, that's it. She's not worried if it gets now. I think it's different in different categories as well. By the way, this again goes into different categories. Like Hanley, for example. Actually, Hanley, I don't know if you're still here, but how many do you offer next day, and how many people ask for next day? Because I bet there's a shit ton more people that want next day delivery for car parts than there is for clothing. But like Miles, because clothing, you don't need it. You don't need, and there's certain people that you will get say, "Oh, can you ship this out? I need it for this. I need it for X. I need it for Y. I'm going on holiday, so on and so forth." But outside of that, they're just there to wear it at some point. Like, they're just there to actually just have it on, as long as they get it within, this season. Like, hopefully, again, there's like a threshold, isn't there? There's like a minimum time that people want things within. As long as you're within that, they're fine. They're happy. But if you go way past that,
I thought it was super interesting that she didn't care about when she got it, because there's a big deal at the moment about this 3 day, like, get it in 3 days. It's going to be on left-hand navigation, where people are going to be going, "Oh, I can get it within 3 days." So you've got to ship fast, you've got to ship quick, you've got to do all this sort of stuff. And it's quite interesting that it's very small sample size, but she just didn't care. She wasn't fussed. She was like, "I'll get it when I get it, but as long as I get it, obviously in season or whatever."
Mm-hmm.
She was quite happy just to wait.
Yep, it's not. She's not fussed. It's, and I'm sure there is people, and it always feels good in terms of like a customer experience to get your item quick, right? That's why Amazon feels amazing. Like, and I also, you go to Amazon, and you're like, I know I'm going to get this tomorrow, which is massive. But I often, again, I go to Amazon for like things I need. Like, I'm looking for stuff. Normally, I'm thinking I go to Amazon because I've just thought of something I need, and I need it as quickly as possible. For example, I get like these lint rollers from Amazon, and I order them when the other one is running out. The last one of the other one.
Yeah. Because you're just gonna you're getting it tomorrow regardless.
Like, it makes life super easy. But going back, so buyers don't care, but eBay's algorithm does, is what Katie said, which is very interesting, because that's true. Well, I don't know if it's true.
John said a very similar thing there. It's eBay that cares about the speed of it rather than the actual customers themselves.
Yeah, because I think if the customer has a bad experience, right, with posts and stuff, like, they're less likely to use eBay. And you hear people talk about eBay, and like there's stereotypes associated with it, and I can imagine postage and stuff like that is one that people are not. It's not looked upon fondly. Like, the people don't look at eBay and go, "Yeah, they have great postage on there." Like, they look at Amazon and go, "Yeah, their speed of delivery is fantastic." Or they look at Vinted and go, "Oh, Vinted sellers don't." Like, I can imagine on Vinted they go, "Oh yeah, they'll send it out at some point in the next 5 days." Nice.
It's 6 days you get to post it for 6 days is what you get, a whole week nearly before you have to send an item. So
yeah, and then it's
really
posted on top of that. Like, but it's expected and associated with the platform. So like and I think on eBay people don't look at postage as one of its massive strengths. They're like, okay, I can search for what I want. They're going to have a good plethora of used things like that. Like, I'm going to be able to find the thing that I'm looking for. that's kind of like where eBay's at. But I don't think they're postage. No one goes to eBay for postage. Right? Like, it's good if it is good, but I don't think they care enough to make it like a massive problem.
I think
Really.
Tommy's got it right there as well, which is just that it's here where eBay are getting confused, because with Amazon, everybody wants it quick. And the reason they use Amazon is because they're getting it next day. Vinted, nobody seems to care. And eBay's trying to do a little bit of both. It's copied a lot of stuff from Vinted recently. And then obviously it's trying to push the speed. eBay's focusing on trying to compete on a multitude of levels versus actually just narrowing down what they're good at, which is being able to find the niche specific used items that people want to buy and sell.
So that's interesting, right? So obviously Amazon came in, boomed. I don't know what eBay was like before Amazon for the most part. Like, I don't know if eBay was way bigger before Amazon came along and took a lot of the steam out their sales. But eBay does sell a lot of new things. But I think eBay probably found a new home, which was like the used secondhand like type market, which Amazon doesn't account for, even though some people do buy used on Amazon. But I'd never associate used with Amazon at all.
I didn't even know they did used.
So there's massive sellers on games and stuff, and games and consoles that I know of who sell used on Amazon, like, and they get a much better market for it, and people do buy it frequently. They're FBA sellers, and they go to car boots, and they, like, ClickRite does it. ClickRite used to sell certain things on Amazon, like DVDs and stuff like that, as used, and that people would buy for that. But eBay is where I associate with that. So they found their home, and then I think because they don't care about Amazon anymore, because I think it kind of stabilized. Like, Amazon probably stopped taking their market share. It was like, they're done. And now Vinted, who's actually threatening what eBay considers their thing, they're now way worried about that, and now they're trying to balance somewhere in the middle. And they've taken a lot of stuff from Vinted because that's their threat now. It's not nothing else, in my opinion, anyway.
No, I agree, to be fair.
Like, I do not think Amazon, like, I don't think I've heard anyone talk about Amazon versus eBay in terms of like them competing as platforms in ages. Like, I think
it's been a long time now, isn't it?
People sell differently on both of them, and people sell on both of them, but they're not, like, I don't think they're direct competitors anymore.
Chris said there about getting the money, so it motivates buyers to send quickly. I think I know if you're a business seller, it's different, but I know from a private, if you're selling private on eBay, I think they're starting to do a very similar thing now with that as well, aren't they? So they're waiting.
I actually don't know. That's soon, isn't it?
It was supposed to be for early February, but so was the condition thing, which they pushed back down to mid February. So they've obviously had some issues with that. But yeah, it was supposed to be February. eBay is starting to do like the same postage as Vinted, so the buyer pays and they pick their shipping company or whatever, and then you get the money like 2 weeks after it's been delivered, or 14 days after purchase or something like that. They're doing a very similar thing now. So even in that regard, I don't think it really matters. Like, I think they're competing on the same level there.
Okay, to end it out, right? So obviously the title's how to make more sales on eBay. Andrew asked, question, rapid fire top 5 to get more sales on eBay.
So you want top 5, right? So I think that ultimately the biggest and the best and the most effective way of getting more sales on eBay is to buy shit that people want. So that's the most effective. You can't get loads of sales if you're buying loads of books that nobody wants. You can't get sales if you buy loads of clothes nobody wants. If you're buying bare Primark, no one's buying it like consistently. So you've got to find good quality items at prices that you're going to make money at. So that's number 1. Number 2 is you've got to get your titles right, because people have got to be able to find that item. 3, photos. You've got to get your photos right. 4, pricing. You've got to be competitive in the market. And then 5, I think kind of falls between postage and condition of like.
No. You're missing a whole kettle of fish with like promoted listings.
If you don't know, because number one is the one that's the one that takes away from the promotion. If you've got a really good item and you source really good items, I still promote. I promote everything at 3%, but I theoretically don't have to promote like 30 to 50% of my listings because they're good enough to sell themselves. I just promote because
okay, you don't need to, but would you get more sales if you did promote? Like, would they sell faster?
if you were buying worse items, yes, I don't think.
No, even good items. If you were in the top 3 spots for that good item, is yours selling faster than all the rest?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it is.
Right. Right. Finding the good items. Title, pictures, pricing, promotion, promotion, then pricing. Promotion,
Okay.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, items always number 1. Like,
yeah, always.
Work on good, like picking up good shit. Like that's all you need to do. Learn how eBay works, comps, whatever. Understand how the market actually works, and then pick them up. That will just, you'll have a successful business of that alone. Like this is where someone talked about having like shit photo, shit title earlier, but the item still sold. That's because it's a good item that people want. And you talked about on Vinted, if the item's good, what people want. I'd say what actually is going to help you make more sales though. So obviously having the title is really important as well. It wants to be searchable. You want to appear the highest in the search for every as much as you can. For as many ways as that person is going to search for that item, you want to get the nearest you can to the top every single time. And I also think that links into like the listing quality report. Like there's metrics eBay like. Do the things that eBay like. That will help you get more sales. They'll rank you better. And that includes photos, that includes item specifics. Even if we think they're not important, they like items with more item specifics. So go for it. If the postage options help, you can chuck it up there. Unconfirmed how much of a difference it actually makes, to be honest with you, especially if you have a good item, because that will just outweigh anything. If you really want to get more sales, you can use all the weapons at your disposal, like any sort of promotions. I think promoted listings are the strongest for actually getting more sales. If you want to hire promoted listings, put that up. You can use coupons, you can use newsletters, you can use all that. But I just say promotions as a whole, like you can use any prong of that you like. Some of them have different strengths and weaknesses, whatever. Have I ranked price yet? Price is I think that's my 5th. Is that my 5th? I don't know.
Stuff like that.
But I think I generally say price closer to market, but under market. But don't go too under market, is my actual opinion. If you want to sell things quick, like, and people see a bargain, they'll pick it up. But in terms of if you have those things already, then what? What are you saying actually helps you get more sales on eBay? So say you have the good items, you have your title's fine, your pricing fine.
I think eBay loves consistency and it loves algorithms and all that sort of stuff. So if you
that bollocks. I can't actually, like, people have said this for so long. They say about white backgrounds, they say about all this sort of thing, but does anyone have proof?
Maybe not with those, but I definitely think if you list one really good item and then don't touch eBay for a week, it may or may not sell. But one of the top ones is the more you list, the more you'll sell. Like my brother sell. Pardon?
Is that just because you've got more to buy?
Yeah. Well, the question is, how do you get more sales on eBay? You list more. Like that's one of the biggest ones. There is that you've got to be consistent every day listing. Like my brother messaged me the other day and goes, I listed those 2 items. The next day he messaged me saying, both of those items are sold. I was like, well, yeah, because you're listing. It's going to sell. So realistically, one of the ways to get more sales is to list more. My sales have gone up by 15%, and that's because I've listed more items every day. So that is a way of increasing sales. Like I know, for instance, Andrew, who's asked the question, has tons of stock. And at the moment is listing 20 a day. And I know he's got a full-time job. It's very stressful and it takes up a lot of his time. But if 20 is what you're doing now, do 25. Eventually, you'll get more sales.
Of good items.
Of good items. Yeah, of good items. We've got to apply it to the same scenario.
The first 3 criteria are met, then you can do the rest.
And even like the more hooks in the water. Like for instance, yesterday for me, I sold 12 items on eBay, but I sold 11 on Vinted. So if you want to diversify your net and you want to put a few more places in, Depop, Vinted, you've got all these other platforms as well. Whatnot, if you want to sell loads really cheap and get rid of loads of stuff, like there's so many different ways of sort of getting more sales. It's just about whether you want to, like for instance, you don't accept many offers over, like, was it 15%, 17%, something like that?
Yeah,
but if Benji wanted more sales, he could just take a little bit less of the pie and accept a 20 to 25% offer if he wanted to. So there's loads and loads of different ways of doing it. And I think that would, that kind of splits across everything, right? It's just there is so many ways of doing it, but pricing, items, and pictures, and then promotion, and that is very, very, very important. And then obviously just being consistent.
Yeah, consistency again.
It's the same one. And Tommy, just as a shout out to you, Benji's currently running a 3 for 2, and it was it 20% you were doing or 15? I can't remember now what you said. 20%. So he was doing you buy 3 items, you get 20% off. I'm currently running a buy 2 items and get 15% off to try and sort of try and improve my multi-quantity like orders and stuff like that. So that's what we're trying to do. Mine's only actually been technically used once, but I've had a couple of people that have bought items that I've got multiple of, like, and they've bought those. But 2 random items, it's only been used once so far this year, but that's probably better than I got all of last year, to be honest with you.
I'm actually going to look what mine's on now. Oh.
Yeah, because you started before me, right? And you do free for 15% off.
Okay, well, apparently we've encountered an unexpected issue. Try refreshing the page to resolve.
Okay. eBay at its finest.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah, same for me, Tommy. It's just once this year mine's been used. I guess a lot of it would just depend on how much percentage you're offering off and how many items they've got to buy to get it. You've got to try and make it as
had mine used 5 times in the last since September, I think. October.
Yeah, that's good. And you don't have multiple listings either, do you? So that would have been just random items. It's not
that's
like
3 different items that people bought. It seems to be working, and the thing I would say with that as well is make sure it's advertised everywhere. So like there's a right way and a wrong way of doing promotions. You basically have to make it a coupon and not anything else, because the coupon is the thing that appears in the search, and then you put it in. It's also the thing that appears properly when you click on the item, and then you can also put it on your store. So when people are browsing your store, you can have a big section that says buy 3 get 20% off, so on and so forth. Yeah. So yeah, there you go. But that concludes it. I hope that helped someone maybe make more sales. I don't know, but it was interesting to talk about nonetheless, because it's not often. But thanks for coming, everyone.
Appreciate everybody's time on a Monday morning.
The more niche your store, the more you'll get. That's true as well.
Yeah, if you're selling loads of the same items in the same sizes and stuff like that, that's obviously going to be a good way to get multiple. So if you can get multiple pairs of trainers in the same size. So if you're sniping on Vinted, just snipe one size in trainers and go like. If
that's true. Go all in on size 5.
Size 11s, by the way, are really hard to come by on Vinted and on eBay, because I'm a size 11 and I'm always looking. So if you could try and snipe some good prices for size 11s, just trainers, and then just bam them on eBay and Vinted, I reckon you do pretty well. People will buy a couple of pairs off you at a time, maybe.
Yeah, see. Lovely. Have a good day.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, do we want the outro?
Yeah, let's get the